Welcome to Sound Off on 96.7 The Eagle, LaPorte County's original social media. Sound Off is a public interest forum that encourages your voice to be heard on the topics and issues impacting our local communities. We invite you to be part of the conversation by calling or texting 219-362-0522. You may also email your questions to soundoff@967theeagle.com. This is a topic-based program, and we ask that you keep your comments brief, concise, and related to the topic being discussed. The views expressed on Sound Off are those of the hosts or callers and do not represent the opinion of 96.7 The Eagle, Spoon River Media, LLC, or the sponsors. The on-air line is now open for your calls or texts at 219-362-0522. And now, Sound Off on 96.7 The Eagle.
Welcome to Sound Off. Meatball in for Stan and Dennis, who are both on vacation today. Great timing, fellas. So Meatball stepping in here to hang out and handle Sound Off today. We got a guest today, Bert Cook, the executive director of the LaPorte Economic Advancement Partnership. What's up, man? How are you?
I'm good, Meatball. I like you a lot better than Stan and Dennis, so this is perfect for me. But no, thanks for having me today.
We only just met, too. That's the fun part. No, Bert in here to talk about some developmental stuff that's happening around the area. If you got questions you would like to send in, or if you want to call us, the Sowers GMC on air line, 219-362-0522. Again, you can text those to us. You can call us, and we will get you on to chat about some things that are happening with Bert. So let's just kind of throw a broad question out there to begin with. You know, a lot of development happening around LaPorte and the LaPorte County area. Talk to me just kind of an overview of things, you know, maybe some of the things that you're most excited about and maybe some things that you're looking forward to in the near future.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that opportunity. So we're incredibly proud of all that has occurred in LaPorte, first and foremost. But, you know, as you look to LaPorte County as a whole, Michigan City's got some great things going on as well. And then even, you know, pan back a little further, the region really has seen a tremendous amount of growth, which is, I think, amazing for all of us because many, you know, we travel back and forth to other communities to use the amenities that exist there as well. But specific to LaPorte, a whole host of different things going on. We've got some of the largest economic development projects in the state going on east of us right now. And those projects are just a crazy scale. So we're definitely impacted by that. We have numerous people who are working on those job sites, both in the construction side, but at the end users as well, that live in our community. So we're excited to see that growth, and it's definitely spurred additional growth within LaPorte. Our residential market is kind of going crazy, which is awesome. I think the downtown has experienced some of that. We've got local developers who are investing in the sort of character of the downtown, which is, I think, a huge asset for us. And then you have those commercial areas as well, like Newport Landing, where we're seeing growth, 39 North, which is a topic we've covered in the past and is something that obviously over the course of the last year has spurred a lot of conversation. But because of the work that the city's done there, the improvements that are being made to the water service in that area, we're seeing new growth opportunities there as well.
Let's kind of centralize ourselves and kind of work our way out. Let's talk about downtown LaPorte. Specifically, I think one of the hotter topics right now is the Lincoln Way project. And that's you know, LaPorte working in conjunction, I guess, rather, with the highway department, right? Yeah.
So INDOT, the Indiana Department of Transportation, great partner. We've had, you know, challenges in the past with figuring out how we address some of these issues downtown. And we always have to remember that, you know, perspective plays a part here, right? As the city residents, state organizations, they all may have some different opinions on what's going on in our downtown area because it's an incredibly complicated puzzle to try and solve, right? So, but we are working with INDOT. We've credit to Mayor Dermody and Nick Minnick, the city engineer. They've, for the first time, I think, found a project that both the city and state can kind of agree is a good starting place to try and facilitate some of the changes that we want to see downtown. Yeah. We call that Lincoln Walk. You will notice that, you know, you see the orange painted areas with the bollards on many of the corners kind of in our core downtown area. Fully acknowledge that's elicited a ton of different reactions, both good and bad.
Right.
I completely get that. I would tell you, I was just talking to somebody who I highly respect last week about this, and they don't necessarily love the project. Let's put it that way. But my point to them was, because we're all talking about it, I think is half the battle, right? That means that we've accomplished something in the downtown. I think anyone at the city would tell you that this is just a tiny first step. There's much more significant changes that need to occur. Mm-hmm. But we're going to have to do that in baby steps because it's a complicated issue. You have pedestrians in that area, and as you know, a downtown where I'm located in the downtown and walk back and forth, multiple times a day. I'll tell you, it's not a real comfortable area for pedestrians, right? Yeah. But we also have a lot of traffic, both auto and truck traffic, that run through that area, and they need to be able to move through there as well. So it's hard. I don't think there's one simple answer to this. Right. I mean, I'm fairly confident that's the case, but we're going to have to continue to push the envelope to do things like Lincoln Walk to sort of change that dynamic. I think if you were asking me for my opinion, I would tell you long term that my vision is it needs to be 3 lanes, right? We need to have 1 lane in either direction and a center turning lane, and we need to recapture all of the space that's on either side of that for expanded diagonal parking and expanded pedestrian areas. How nice would it be to be able to sit outside at a downtown restaurant or park your car that way, right, and not get your mirror taken off, or be able to get your kids out of the car, right? I mean, that's something that I've struggled with in the past is having young children. How do you get your kids out of the car and feel comfortable? So a lot of issues there. No one solution, but I really credit the city in that we're trying to affect some change there.
I do like that the first step was more geared towards the protection of the residents in downtown that do, still walk, because the idea was to, bring an alert with the orange paints on the corners and stuff to allow drivers to see that this is still a pedestrian area and I should probably slow down just a little bit. Same with the bollards. And I understand, we've already seen the photos of people saying, haha, these trucks have already run over all your bollards and stuff. Right. That's kind of the point of them being able to be taken down and put back up.
Absolutely. And does that not highlight the danger that exists there, right? Because many times people are standing or walking in those areas. Right. We started right before we came on the air, we were talking a lot about the state of Michigan and some of the decisions they've made. I think you'll agree with me. Many of those destination locations in Michigan employ very similar tactics.
Absolutely.
And that works very, very well. I always joke, because we spend quite a bit of time in Michigan, that it's very clear if you live in that state that the pedestrian has the right of way. So you see those signs all the time. You see people who stop and allow pedestrians to cross. So that's one area that I will disagree with people when I read comments or people call in and say, well, this doesn't work, it won't make any sense. My first question is, why does it work elsewhere then?
Yeah.
Because we see it work elsewhere. Is it change? Yes, it is. And will it involve some getting used to and some adjustment of behavior? Absolutely, it will. But I tend to believe that those mechanisms that work elsewhere can also work here.
And it's again like the emphasis on pedestrian safety, I think is definitely the first step you want to take there. And like you said, even though trucks, when they make those wide turns, are running over those bollards, like you said, it's drawing attention to the fact that this is a dangerous, scenario, and it could be a lot worse. And I think you also have to kind of condition the drivers a little bit to say, this is an area where you need to slow down. Because, I've been on Lincoln Way driving down there, and there are people flying down that road sometimes.
Right. Once a week, I'll have to stop as I go to cross the road because someone's running a red light. That's way too much. We have to calm or slow the traffic down. We have to make drivers more aware of the fact that pedestrians are in these areas. Yeah. And then you can think about the long-term effects of that on all of those businesses that are located in the area. Pedestrian traffic is a crucial part of sustainability for Absolutely. That commercial sector. And so we got to make those improvements. If you want, and I think most of us do, if you want a thriving downtown with new options, niche businesses, independent businesses, you're going to have to make some concessions in that regard. And if you'd rather just be a corridor with no businesses there, then okay, maybe we don't need to make any changes. But I don't hear many people that say that.
Well, it's better to be trying something than to just, sit on your hands and debate about what the right answer is, too.
That's absolutely right.
This is at least some kind of effort and at least, an attempt in some kind of direction. And now you can learn from this and say, okay, this worked, this didn't. what's our next step.
And I think our community as well, if you have ideas, share them. I mean, there's I don't know how many different meetings have occurred where the city says, hey, if we're not convinced we have the only ideas. If other people have ideas, let's talk about those and see if we can use that information to better the end result for all of us.
Yeah. Let's talk about some of the other developments that are happening in downtown. There's some businesses coming in. There's some other construction projects that are happening. I know Blockhead Brewery is one that a lot of people are kind of buzzing about and they're pretty excited about.
Yeah, so I'd like 4 projects I want to just briefly note because I'm excited about all of them. Blockhead being one of those without a doubt. The building that they're going to occupy, Carpenters Union purchased. They've done a wonderful renovation on the building. Looks completely new and really great. Blockhead, we've been looking for the right opportunity with them for a few years now, and appreciate Corey and Jeff and their team of their commitment to finding the right opportunity here.
It's going to bring a brewery back into LaPorte.
Absolutely,
as well.
And the food, their food sided things is such a huge part of their business. So I know many people are excited about that. I think it's a cool location, and we're excited to see that go forward. Right down the street from that, we have the Firehouse, which is Dudley Byler's new project. He's been working for a number of months now on that. It's a co-working space with a concept for a kind of a shared kitchen application.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Outdoor space, but the idea would be if you need to rent an office and maybe you don't want to pay for an entire building, but you'd like to have those amenities, those shared spaces, and just a cool location, he might be the right place for you. I've seen the work in the building. It's great. I mean, it really has cool views. He's got a lot of different things going on there, so excited for that. And then 2 other projects in the downtown, both local developers. So Rich Leslie, Bassam Audi have begun work on 814 to 816 Lincoln Way. That's the old LaPorte Sporting Goods building, kind of just right next to Wilson's there. Going to be some commercial spaces on the ground floor and then apartments above. Really cool plans. That is a building that is definitely part of the fabric of our downtown, but really needs some investment. It's been gutted and kind of been that way for a number of years, and those guys are kind of putting the effort and the money back into bringing that back to life. Really, really like that project. And then down Monroe, the 5-story building, we call it the Coddington building, but also local developers, John Howes and a couple of the Spences that are investing in that project, doing a similar type application, commercial on the ground floor and then apartments above. They've already replaced, if you've driven by, you saw the windows went in a few, month or so ago. I think that looks really, really cool. That's another one of those buildings that you can't help but feel the history when you walk in. And it's also located in a little bit of a different area where you have public parking right across the street. City owns those 2 lots there. So excited about all the projects going on in the downtown, but those 4, I think, are really reshaping kind of things there.
Something nice, too, that I'm seeing is the addition of residential in downtown as well. Because I'm one of those people that I like to live where the action is happening. I like to be where it's buzzing. And to see more residential going into downtown is fantastic because there's a little bit down there, but it seems like it's starting to uptick, and that seems to be kind of a general trend across cities now too.
Absolutely, that's spot on. We see, I don't want to overgeneralize, but it tends to be younger people. It's not solely younger people.
Thank you for calling me young. I appreciate that.
Yeah, there are older as well, but it's a very definitive choice to live in that way, and I think a lot of people find that very, very exciting. Selfishly, as we look at the downtown, it's also built-in market share, right?
Yeah.
If you live there, you're going to shop there, you're going to spend your money, your time in that area. And so we really like the concept of moving that forward. There's been kind of a waiting list of people looking for units. If you put a nice unit on the market that's reasonably priced, people scoop it up pretty quickly.
Yeah.
So we need to bring more residential, more apartments to that area. As many buildings as we have, you would be shocked at how many second and third stories are not used at all. Right. And again, that becomes really, really important because the more of that we can bring to the market, the more people we will have in the downtown.
Well, and housing being not just an issue in LaPorte as it grows, because as we know, Tom Dermody has the 30 by 30 plan. 30,000 by 2030. In order to do that, you got to have the housing, you got to have the space for it, and we have the space already stacked and ready to go there. You just got to build it and put it in.
Yeah, and it's all kinds of housing too, right? I think that's something I've heard the mayor stress in numerous conversations. If you were to kind of throw a dart at the wall in terms of our housing need. Whatever you hit is a need area.
Yeah.
But that's not just we so typically think of single family homes, and that's a great option for some people. But I think about my own lifespan of residential, and you live typically, you get out of school or whatever it is, and you live in an apartment, maybe a townhome or a condo. You buy your first home, you build your first home. Like there's all different options there. We need to be bringing all types of options to the market at all different price points as well.
Excellent. All right, well, we need to take a break real quick. We will be right back with Sound Off on 96.7 The Eagle.
Get ready for the X Insurance Great Lakes Grand Prix as it roars into Washington Park, July 28th through August 3rd. This is a week-long adrenaline rush featuring the fastest offshore powerboats, a community kickoff, a give-back night, golf outing, the inaugural Brew Fest, block party, and boat parade. Live music, food, family-friendly activities, and non-stop racing action. Best of all, the races are free. But for the ultimate experience, grab your VIP ticketed event passes now at GreatLakesGrandPrix.com.
There's more than corn in Indiana. It's the best part of America, and it's right within your reach. It's Indiana Beach.
Are you ready for some fireworks? Indiana Beach will be putting on our fireworks show throughout the month of July. Spend the day having fun with friends and family at Indiana Beach, and then watch the amazing show from our boardwalk as we light up the skies over beautiful Lake Schaefer.
Visit IndianaBeach.com to view the complete fireworks schedule.
See you at the beach.
If you're not already banking at Grand Heritage Federal Credit Union, you may be wondering what the differences are between Grand Heritage and others, like banks. Stop by today and let them show you how to put more money in your pocket by banking with Grand Heritage, a credit union. Like free checking, Christmas clubs, auto loans, Visa credit cards, children's accounts with no fees and no minimum balances. You'll also enjoy the easy-to-use mobile app and online banking at Grand Heritage. When you're out of town, you'll be able to bank at one of over 5,000 shared branches across the United States. Oh, and when you call Grand Heritage, you'll get a real person on the line, not some automated attendant. And you can take comfort in knowing that all decisions are made locally. It's simply better banking with Grand Heritage, here locally since 1955 at 201 Kumler Drive, LaPorte. Your money is federally insured by NCUA at Grand Heritage Federal Credit Union.
Michiana weather. Mainly clear this afternoon with daytime highs approaching 74. Lows dip down to about 54. Tonight, mainly clear skies. From the Weather Center at HometownNewsNow.com. I'm meteorologist Paul Trombley. Currently, it's 73 degrees.
Your opinion matters. We invite you to share it by calling the on-air line at 362-0522. That's 362-0522. Now, back to Sound Off on 96.7 The Eagle.
All right, back here in the studio on Sound Off with Bert Cook, Executive Director of the LaPorte Economic Advancement Partnership. If you want to call in or text us, Sowers GMC on our line, 219-362-0522. Got a question here on the text line. Tommy Kolovic wanting to know, are there any updates or on the redevelopment, rather, of the former LaPorte Hospital Greenfield site?
Yeah, it's a great question. One that I think we're kind of struggling with as well. We all recognize the old hospital was built there. CHS agreed to demolish that, and they completed that work. Obviously a major project, and now we have this greenfield site that is in a really important area of the city, kind of the center of the city, and very rarely do you see such a large buildable location in a community. And so the question is, what happens next? Mm-hmm. We've discussed a lot of different options, but all of those typically involve finding a private partner that is going to ultimately fund, the construction of whatever it might be. Right. We haven't found that partner yet. We've had some good conversations. We've kind of gone down the road a little bit, but we haven't been able to make the numbers work as we sit here today. I think what I would, to Tommy, and what I would suggest is city's very aware how important this project is, and we want to make sure that we get it right. So we're going to continue to look until we find the right deal for that area, and then we'll work in partnership with the private sector, with the hospital, because they own the property, right. To try and find a scenario that makes sense. My gut tells me you're not going to probably see anything in the near future there. It's going to be maybe looking out a year or two to kind of get something working and find the right opportunity.
Just out of curiosity, would you lean more towards like something more publicly useful, like a park or something to that effect, or more like real estate and something that would be more business? I guess.
Yeah, it's a good question. I could see both scenarios being fairly likely.
It's a big piece of land too. So
it is. Yeah, the challenges with it is if you're going with like a public improvement, you got to find a way to cover the acquisition cost of the land, right? Because that makes the project almost unfundable, right from the start. If you're going the private route, where you're going to bring a private partner in, now you have the ability to make money. They can pay more for the land. The numbers probably work a little bit better, but it could be a combination of the two as well. I would tell you, like, one thing that I personally am concerned with in a lot like that in the downtown, I think you don't want to get away from, you don't want a totally different application downtown.
Sure.
The mixed use, historical looking buildings are a key like cog in the character of LaPorte. And so I think we're going to want to be mindful of trying to find something that works with that. And that may mean one developer. It may mean multiple developers. It may mean, some mixed use housing in conjunction with some sort of public amenity.
Okay.
I think there's a lot of options.
Yeah. You don't want to build something like, a Gothic,
right. An eyesore.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, we do have a caller on the line, so we're going to jump on that. You are on Sound Off. Go ahead.
Yes, thank you. I tuned in kind of late, and I wasn't aware who your guest was, but I have since found out this Mr. Cook. And part of your conversation was about the bollards downtown, and I'm compelled to comment. I'm in town at least once a day, and most of the time several times a day, and everybody that I associate with does not have a good thing to say about your bollards. The orange paint is fine, but the bollards, especially after they get run over, they look like a bunch of derelicts downtown and all staggering around. But I do applaud the fact that you, as you said, you're trying to do something. The administrations are trying to do something downtown for the protection of the citizens and to make it appealing. Life is not perfect. You commented that you had to watch crossing the street. That's just part of life. Okay. I firmly believe that for protection, the investment in those bollards would have been better used to maybe employ another police officer and station him downtown to slow people down. What I've seen from my own personal experience is that several administrations have been trying to do things to make the downtown, and I quote, to make it more appealing to outside people. That's great. But the decisions that I've seen so far affect the inhabitants of the city and their surrounding areas. The bollards, for one thing, and because that's the most recent thing, makes it hard for people to manipulate downtown. And the people who don't slow down, those are the people who won't slow down, period. They have to be dealt with in a different manner than what you've done so far. But the biggest issue that I see is that you all ignore the elephant in the room. And that elephant in the room is you need to provide something else, a different route for all the traffic that is downtown. And until you do that, no matter what you do, is going to be a Band-Aid at best on the circumstances down there. Okay, I personally know about Cadillac, Michigan, which is northern Michigan. It's a tourist area. The main road used to go right through Cadillac, Michigan. They worked very hard to move the interstate. Cadillac, Michigan now is like a ghost town. So be careful of what you wish for, folks. Anyway, that's all I have to say, and I appreciate the time on air. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks for the question and the comments. There's a lot there, and I'll be frank with you. Some of that I agree with. There's some things that maybe I'm not aligned with you on, but I'll just try and touch on a couple of them really quickly. The idea of relocating the volume of that traffic from the downtown, fully agree. I think if anyone you talk to at the city is going to say they completely agree with you on that topic. There's a lot of things that are a barrier to doing that: cost, location, right? You bring up the word bypass and people, that elicits a certain reaction. And I completely understand that. But I think we're in agreement there that the current volumes of traffic in the downtown, specifically trucks and the like, is problematic for any of the applications you choose. To the bollards and the question about the paint, listen, I get it. And your reaction to them is similar to many others that I've heard. Again, I'll go back to saying one thing that I think we can agree on is it is encouraging conversation about how we address these issues. And that's a win, right? That's what we should be doing, is continuing to have discussion on how we address these issues. Again, I don't think any example of a mechanism we use to try and address this is going to be perfect. I think there's going to be people who call in or people who say this won't work or that won't work or that's not the right application. We got to keep looking for opportunities to try things like this, to see how it affects the downtown area, with the broader goal of being we need to find ways to reroute that traffic into better avenues. I've heard there are good examples of many communities. I know there are examples of communities that have rerouted things and they've struggled, or that have challenged their downtown. I completely agree with you and respect that. But there are also numerous options of communities that have went through that process and are now far better because of that. So I think you have to learn what you can from both the good and the bad and use that in your decision making moving forward. But I will tell you, I think none of this, regardless of we may not be able to agree on the right mechanism as we sit here today, but I think that there's generally agreement throughout the community that we have to find ways to remove that traffic.
All right, got another phone call here. You are on with Bert Cook. Go ahead.
Hi, I'm calling too about not just the bollards, just the fact that it would be nice to have these plans out there somewhere. Communication is key to everything, and you keep saying, well, we need to have these discussions. Who are you discussing it with? Because I try to attend as many meetings and informational things about the city. I don't see like a master plan. I know there have been many, but they change all the time, and we're not always made aware of the changes. And, I'd like to see a list of where can I go to find a list of here's the projects that are started, here's the projects that are ongoing, here's the projects that we'd like to do, and where are the discussions for all of these things. I don't think you're getting as much input from the citizens who live here and shop here on a daily basis that you need to get. I mean, I agree with that gentleman who said, I think you're trying to attract other people and tourists and stuff. That's, I don't think you even live in town. I don't think you live in LaPorte. So when you say our community, our town, I don't think you have the pulse of LaPorte correct. I think you're thinking from another town what we want. The other thing is, why don't we try to push, instead of trying to move a whole interstate, why don't we just shift the focus over to the other side and try to slowly, I know it wouldn't be done immediately, but slowly change the downtown focus so that it's not just where it is, because you have Indiana Avenue and Lincoln Way. That is the big deal there with the semis and all the traffic there. But on the other side, going west, you don't have all that. And there's plenty of opportunities there. I know with a couple of things that are going up, there's a little bit of focus going on down there, but I think we need to do that a little bit more, kind of try to shift it. That the place with the Listitches, that's just a bad place. It's just way too crowded. It's not enough room. And it's in front of a bar, and it's all the focus is on drinking. I just don't agree with that. So those are my questions and comments. I'd like to see more information put out there for the public. I'd like to see more visibility from you guys, somebody I can go to and actually talk to and ask questions, and meetings. Thank you.
Yeah, appreciate the question. So, I'd strongly suggest, I don't know, you had mentioned that you do attend meetings and you've heard about some of this. I'm not certain exactly what those meetings are, but I'll just run through a little bit of a list, and you can, if there are meetings that you haven't participated in the past, maybe they're good ideas on things you could in the future. So you always have the City Council and Board of Public Works. There is Not at every meeting is there discussion about this, but it's been, our downtown is typically talked about numerous times in those settings. We have small business roundtables. That's through LEAP, the organization that I represent, which is solely focused on the downtown. Those are every other month, and would encourage you to attend those. We've got, sort of different topics affecting the downtown that are discussed pretty regularly. You have the Urban Enterprise Zone meetings, which encompasses the downtown. You could attend. I would also strongly recommend you reach out to Craig Phillips, who's the director of planning for the city. Craig is a wonderful asset, and he's got many of the plans that you referenced. He can show you more about what's going on in our downtown. And as we sit here right now, we have the comprehensive plan meetings that have been going on, which would love to have you participate in those and share that feedback. You reminded me, and the previous caller referenced it, and you did as well. I would stress that I totally disagree with the idea that the improvements that are going on in our downtown are designed at attracting someone else. Those are improvements that are designed on benefiting our community as a whole. So the people that live here, the businesses that are located here, those aren't mechanisms that are addressing outside visitors. They're addressing, how we increase the pedestrian friendliness of our downtown for everyone that is here. So those would be kind of the suggestions I have. I appreciate your point. I mean, I'll agree to disagree on do we have a sense of the pulse of what's going on in the community. I think our organization represents over 450 members throughout our community, big and small businesses. Have conversations with our downtown businesses day in and day out. I think we have a pretty good sense. For 20 years I've been here and we've had these same conversations. I think we've got a pretty good sense of how our downtown businesses feel, but always would encourage you to continue to share your voice as a citizen. I think it's always helpful to hear other thoughts, and would encourage you to participate in any of those meetings you're able to.
I think it's a good point here is you don't have to necessarily be a member of these businesses or anything to come to these meetings to get an idea. Like these are public meetings for the most part. You can show up to these and put your 2 cents in, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's one thing about Mayor Dermody I will forever appreciate is he has no qualms about having good debate or discussion on topics. When I think about our small business roundtables, which I mentioned, we've had 30, 40 businesses represented downtown, along with a number of residents in the area who are, sort of invested there. And frankly, I'll be the first to tell you, the conversation is people don't agree on everything, right? There's a lot of good conversation. Some people might say, I think one thing, and the others might disagree. And that's absolutely okay. The mayor encourages that. I think we have to be willing to have good dialogue amongst ourselves, to not get upset or emotionally react to the fact that people don't agree, and use that, because ultimately it's better decision making when you have more perspectives at the table.
Right. Absolutely. All right. We got to take another quick break. We'll be right back with Sound Off on 96.7 The Eagle.
2 days, 3 dealerships, 1 massive sale. Bob LaCourcio's Michigan City dealerships are all teaming up for a 3-way tent event this Friday and Saturday at Michigan City Ford. Shop hundreds of new and pre-owned vehicles, all priced to move. Find low financing starting at 0% and on-site vehicle appraisers. You'll get offers over KBB value on all trade-ins. You'll find the perfect deal for you. And if that wasn't enough, we'll have tons of food and live music, plus TV and cash giveaways. Michigan City Ford, Michigan City Kia, Michigan City Hyundai. Triple the cars, triple the deals, and triple the fun. View our full selection at blauto.com, or just come out and enjoy the family fun at Michigan City Ford, 3930 Franklin Street, this Friday and Saturday, 8:30 a.m. to 7 p.m.
Financing with approved credit.
Bad Boy Mowers' legendary reputation for build strength, performance, and value is now available with Bad Boy tractors. From midsize to subcompact models powered by 22 to 35 horsepower, water-cooled diesel engines, your tractor work just got real. Easy. On the farm, the ranch, or even around the house, Bad Boy tractors deliver on power and durability all day, every day. And you can visit your local authorized Bad Boy dealer, K-Tool and Fire, at 2104 Ohio Street in LaPorte. Bad Boy tractors work with an attitude.
There's no better feeling in the world than a cup of coffee at a diner in the morning. But what if that cup of coffee came with free food? At Denny's Denny's Diner, you've got a daily shot at winning a $20 gift certificate to any number of local restaurants in the LaPorte area, and it's real easy. Weekday mornings, listen to the Morning Mayhem with Dennis Siddell at 6:55 and step into Denny's Diner, where he'll ask you the day's country music trivia question, and whoever has the right answer first, well, let's just say you'll be eating good at Denny's Diner. Weekdays at 6:55, Denny's Diner is in the Morning Mayhem with Dennis Siddell on 96.7 The Eagle.
What are you waiting for? The lines are open on Sound Off. Text or dial your questions now to 362-0522. That's 362-0522. Now, back to LaPorte County's original social media. Sound Off on 96.7 The Eagle.
And welcome back to Sound Off. You got messages you would like to send to us. Text them, 219-362-0522. This hour's GMC on-air line. Also call us. I know we have one caller on the line here, but I want to get through some of the text messages here. Let's see. Some areas that bypass traffic away from town via interstate, etc., downtown slowly becomes ghost towns. We were discussing that a little bit off air, too.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's a valid concern. I think it goes back to, we kind of mentioned earlier, you gotta pay attention. There's not a one size fits all application, but you got to learn from those that did it well, and you learn from those that didn't, and find that kind of middle ground.
Right. One person wanted to know a little more about LEAP. They want to know how LEAP employees are paid. Is that city or separate, or how are they taken care of there?
Yeah, we're not part of the city. So the LaPorte Economic Advancement Partnership is kind of the partnership of two different organizations: the Greater LaPorte Economic Development Corporation and the Chamber of Commerce. Separate organization that provides services to the city and to our members, of which I mentioned, 450 or so.
Sure. And then one here completely, I think we're a little unrelated from what we've been talking about. Hello, Bert. Saw on Facebook the Hunters Woods project on Park and Seavers Road was put on hold. Is this true or just rumors?
Yeah, I had someone call the office and ask that question yesterday. There's no truth to that whatsoever. In fact, I think the developer just took another draw on that. They're getting ready to start the multifamily component of the project. There's some water line infrastructure work that has to occur before that's done. But I know they're like hard at work at getting I think they have 4 townhome buildings up at this point and getting those to market. So no truth to that whatsoever.
Okay, we've got about 4 minutes left on Sound Off, but we do want to take this phone call here. So you're on with Bert Cook. Hello, you're on Sound Off.
Hi. I am calling about the downtown crossings, the Ballard. I believe that it is a good thing for safety. I think the trucks turn short. People don't realize it. I'm not sure if they don't like how it looks, but are not thinking about the safety of the pedestrians downtown.
Yeah, No, go ahead.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I agree with you. I've heard feedback on there. A lot of it seems to be associated with the looks of the application.
Yeah.
But I think the safety aspect far outweighs the look.
Yeah, I fully agree. I don't think they're taking that into consideration, especially our senior population does have a hard time crossing Lincoln Way. Also, just a question, on the west side of LaPorte is a food desert. Is there any chance that you are looking into developing a grocery store on the west side?
Yeah, that's a popular question as well. I think ever since Al's closed over there, and then subsequently Aldi moved into Newport Landing, I think we've had a lot of questions that surround that. We are absolutely not opposed to putting a grocery store in that side of town. We've worked with a number of different potential end users for that space. We've not been able to find the right opportunity yet. I would tell you, is personal opinion, I could very well be wrong, and I would love to sit here a year from now and say I was wrong and we found the right opportunity there. It seems a little unlikely to me. For a city of 22,000, you have 3 sort of commercial areas, east, west, and north. we're just not big enough to really support that many different areas. And so my professional opinion says I think it's unlikely we'll be able to find, what I think people mean when they say a grocery store, and that's like a full-fledged grocery store. I think you could see smaller applications. The Hispanic grocery store that's there now, I think they do a wonderful job.
Oh, phenomenal, too.
If you haven't been in there, strongly suggest you do. They have a whole host of products there. I think they're a great option for that side. And I could see other things like that potentially being at play over time. But I don't know that I necessarily believe we're going to see a grocery store, although we would be open to that opportunity.
All right. Thank you for the call. I only got about a minute and a half here, so let's just do kind of some rapid fire here. Are there still plans for a retail center at Newport Landing?
Yes, we continue to work on that. If you've been out there, you saw that the new construction on Grand Heritage Federal Credit Union just began. Ton and Blank is building that, so we're excited by that. And then behind that, we have a developer who plans to build that retail center. We're kind of right now coming to the end of their due diligence period, so hopeful that we're going to be able to move forward with them.
We've seen a lot of projects in food places. You got Wingstop coming in. Chipotle just recently opened, Can you talk a little bit about the success of some of these new places coming in and what that means for the future of even more new things coming in?
Yeah, so we're looking for that mix, right? So I think we always say this, we want a mix of corporate or franchise restaurants as well as those independents that are so important, specifically kind of in our downtown area. I think it's just good that you see that investment in that sector because that signals to the market that there is, there's money to be made here. There's demand in LaPorte. And so we're excited to help anyone who wants to open, whether that be corporate or independent alike.
And then last thing I've got here, Full Tilt Arcade, planning to construct a huge family fun center, Newport Landing. Is everything still on course for that? Planning, I think, construction starting next year. Is that right?
Yeah, we're hopeful that they'll be able to start construction late this year. Ben Conowitz, Ryan Hart, great guys, great partners for our community. I think they've got a really cool concept that's going to be really, really successful. We're getting through those last final details, but hopeful for construction later this year, early next year, and can't wait for that project for sure.
We ran a little over, but we were having some great discussions today, so don't mind doing that. Bert, any kind of last things you want to add here? Anything you want to throw out there to the community?
Yeah, no, I just appreciate the feedback. Again, I said early on that whether good, bad, or indifferent, we appreciate hearing from people. We don't for one second think that every decision is the right decision, but appreciate that there's a good dialogue going on right now in LaPorte.
Fantastic. Bert Cook with the executive, he is the executive director of the LaPorte Economic Advanced Partnership with LEAP. Thank you so much for your time, for coming in on Sound Off today. And man, I will tell you, as somebody who is relatively new to the area, I have learned a lot today.
Appreciate you having me.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, man. That is Sound Off. We'll see you again on Monday. I believe Dennis will be back, so you don't have to hear me. We'll see you then. Bye-bye.
Thank you for joining us and voicing your opinion on this edition of Sound Off.
Oh, hey!
The views expressed on Sound Off are those of the host or callers and do not represent the opinion of 96.7 The Eagle, Spoon River Media, LLC, or the sponsors. Sound Off airs live every Monday and Friday, immediately following Update 12 News, and is available online after the show is over under the podcast menu at hometownnewsnow.com. Mark your calendar and join us again for the next edition of Sound Off, right here on 96.7 The Eagle.